If you want to texturize your model in Blender, this tutorial is for you. In order to paint textures in Blender, go to texture painting mode. If you try to paint without an image texture, you will get this message. That's because when you load the default Blender workspace, any model that you add into the environment won't have any material until you go to shading mode. To fix that, you should go to shading. When you add an image texture and connect it to the base color, your model will look like this. You should click this icon to select a texture. But you can also create a new image that will be used as a texture of your 3D model. You need to save your texture anywhere on your computer if you want to use it for further modifications. In the previous video, I was talking about UV mapping and various techniques that you can use for adding a UV map of your character or model in Blender. This video will focus on painting your character, 3D model, or any 3D asset with textures. In texture paint mode, I will teach you some basic tips. The first one is very simple. When you click anywhere on your model, you will apply primary color. You can do the same with the entire model, but this is just a basic tip on how to apply primary color to your texture. Let's move to the next tip. When you press Ctrl key, you can switch between primary and secondary color. You can blur parts of your texture by using Blur tool, but for some reason it can cause lagging in Blender, so be careful. The Smear tool is used for smudging a colored part of the texture, especially if you want to make a smoother transition between colors, to fix some unwanted color, or to fix some mistake that can occur while texture painting. The Airbrush tool is perfect for drawing with smoother brush strokes. You can make a smoother texture, but this strongly depends on your texturing preferences. This can be perfect if you want a smoother look of the model that will have multiple transitions and gradients. The Clone tool works by using a 3D cursor as a clone stamp tool. To make it work, you need to adjust your 3D cursor, like this. It will clone parts of the texture that typically occur around the 3D cursor. There are also 3 erase tools that are used for erasing. Erase hard pressure, erase soft pressure. They will only work if you have a graphics tablet, so here is a quick demo of how to use pressure sensitivity. As you can see, the pressure sensitivity works like this. Another useful tip is some of the shortcuts for texture painting are exactly the same than for sculpting. For example, the F key is used for brush size, and Shift F is used for brush strength. So, these are very useful tips if you want to texturize. Another thing that I would like to add is the Fill tool. It's used for filling the entire model, and as you can see on the left side, the entire model becomes colored, but the background remains untouched. This looks exactly the same as when you add a material. I don't recommend you to add material instead of this because you won't be able to texture paint if you don't have a UV map. The Mask tool only works with a stencil mask. If you add it into the texture, you won't be able to paint unless the mask only contains a part of the model. Those are some basic tips for texture painting in Blender. Basically, you can do the same in other kinds of models. For example, I made some asset for my upcoming game, like bird seed, for example. I also made a flower asset for one of my previous games. And I also made other characters that have the textures and all the methods that I have used in my previous tutorials. Okay, that is pretty much it for this tutorial. Texturing is a great way to achieve professional quality of artwork, especially if your main goal is to make high-quality 3D artwork. Without texturing, there would be no way to add details except trying to add a texture image, and the result would be very unpredictable if you don't have the UV map. Making good quality textures is one of the main goals of animation studios and working on animated movies, but it can also be useful if you want to add more details and more texture polishing to your character or a game asset. Feel free to play with those parameters and various techniques for texturing. If you want more tutorials, consider subscribing. I will be making more tutorials for both Blender and Unity. So stay tuned and have a good day.